And we're live. Hello, everyone. This is Ray from Unparalleled Comics. If you don't know me by now. And today, Jay Sloan, who is also with me,
And
sipping
we're
on some
live.
coffee.
Hello,
Oh,
everyone. This
shit.
is Ray from Unparalleled Comics.
Sorry about that.
Oops.
And sorry for cursing. Live curse words. We're live, so anything can happen. And anybody who does watch this or is watching along with us, don't be afraid to chat with us in it's just called the chat box on YouTube. But Jay is here sipping on some coffee, and we're going to talk about some comics, inspirations, where we got our starts, where we got our ideas from for Stellar Odyssey. Like I said, the Odyssey to Stellar Odyssey. Jay, how you doing today?
Not bad. Recovering from a long work of overtime at work and working out in the hot sun for 10, 11 hours a day all week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't do that, but I was at a hog roast all day yesterday, so I'm pretty tired.
That must have been rough.
It was. Whew, it was. I had to wrangle my kids around, so that part is rough. It's like every time I turn around, they were on a trampoline or there was water slide, but it was good times. Had a good cigar yesterday. It's been a while since I had a cigar. But I don't know. How do you want to start this today? You want to start by talking about the Kickstarter a little before we go into some of the history?
Yeah, we can talk about the Kickstarter or whatever.
Well, let's just say Stellar Odyssey is live on Kickstarter now. It's 4 stories, 6-page stories that are set in a big universe, and this universe is huge. This is just not even the tip of the iceberg of what we got in store. The Kickstarter, what do we got? We're over 40% funded.
Yeah, we're about 40% right now.
In what, 3 or 4 days? So
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Just starting out the 4th day today, so.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited about it. I wrote 2 stories. Jay's doing art on 2 of them. He did one of mine, which is the entry to the whole universe. It basically sets up the first 2 characters. And this was before we added Brock to the fold, because originally it was just going to be 3 stories, and then we added Brock to it. And I could have probably done something a little bit different if I would have known we were going to add Brock. And his book is called Thorn, which is the final story in the book.
Yep. And reading through the script, it's interesting character. I think she's gonna be a really cool addition to the whole thing. Not just the Stellar Odyssey book, but once her own title launches and get going, that's gonna be cool. It's like you were saying before too. They all kind of have their own different tones and feel about them, even though they all exist in the same universe.
Mm-hmm. And there's the whole point of that is try to get maybe a little something for everyone. We've got my story, my title, which is called Knights of Bellaterra, which it's about. First of all, it's hard to explain without going into great detail, but it's a couple of soldiers going around the galaxy looking for some artifacts. Let's just put it that way. Leave it at that. And then Vagabond Blues is Jay's story, which you explain that.
So that's kind of it's based on themes of self-discovery and existentialism, but basically the gist of the main story that all that fits into is my main character, JC Legend, is a geologist, and he's in charge of a expedition for the Bellaterrans in their expansion through the galaxy. So they've got a newly acquired planet that they've kind of taken control of. It's uninhabited so far. So they're sending out the first colonization crew. JC's the leader of that crew. And on their way there, something goes wrong with their plots of their coordinates, or something happens to where their ship gets thrown way off course. They crash land on a planet in some uncharted galaxy, so they have no idea where they're at or anything about the solar system they're in or the planet they're crashed on. Back home at base, operations has lost total loss of contact with their ship, so they don't even know where they're at. So basically, the gist of the story is JC trying to make his way back to Bellaterra to reunite with his lover, Kaya, who is also worried about what happened to JC. And even though the government that sent him out there, they don't know, they don't care, they're just going to create a new operation and send him to where JC was supposed to go. So they're not really overly concerned with trying to find him, but Kai is. So it's basically two lovers have been separated through the distance of a few galaxies trying to find each other.
It's kind of a complex story if you think about it, but
it is.
The way it could play out over how many ever issues could be really cool. And
right.
I know the visuals are going to be there with you doing the art, and I guess you're doing the writing for the story, or you want to?
Yeah, for now I'm doing the bulk of the writing. At least getting everything set up in the right direction. Brian Hawkins is gonna edit. He's gonna be my editor. I'll have Brian Hawkins and then you as well, because since you're the editor in chief. But I know you'll have other books and projects you'll be working on, so I thought it'd be a good idea to bring in Brian and help share the load on the editing for that.
You ought to just hire him outright. I think he's a great writer.
Yeah, I've been considering that, especially after the way he handled the short story for Attila Banks.
Yeah, and that's why I say that. So that can lead us into that a little bit. With Kickstarter, I mentioned there's 4 different stories. Brian is writing one of them, and it's based in the Vagabond part of the universe.
Yeah,
and it's very interesting. We're getting the art coming in now from Flavio, and it's the art is just killing me. It's so good.
Yeah, he's not.
I want to have a book that I can have that he can work on already, because his art is just, no offense, Jay.
No, those wheels have been turning in my head too. More pages and thumbnails and all the artwork that he shows me and turns in, I'm like, man, we gotta find a book that we can put him on.
Yeah, because he could probably do anything. He's taking the sci-fi. It almost looks giving it a sci-fi western look.
Yeah,
which is really cool. Which seems like it fits the character.
That's what I was wanting. In fact, one of the writing prompts I gave Brian when I gave him my idea for the story was a spaghetti western in space, sci-fi spaghetti western.
Yeah, and it's I can't wait. I can't wait to see these all come to life. I've been seeing the panels and progress on the first story. The first 3 pages are up on the Kickstarter now. So if you want to see it, you just go to the Kickstarter, and the first 3 pages plus the cover art are on there, and the cover art for the Attila Banks story is on there too.
Yeah.
And that's actually, we have a special giveaway going right now, where if you do a physical copy, back the Kickstarter with a physical copy, you're entered to win a 24x36 poster of the Attila Banks cover, and it's pretty awesome. You don't have a little image you could show with you, like a little?
Actually, yeah. Let me. Yeah.
It's not this. You're going to show the big one, or you're going to show the small?
I think I got one of the small ones here. I got one of the small ones here.
Yeah. So
the 7.5 or the 10.5 by. I don't know if there's a glare.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that's it, but it'll be bigger.
Yeah, 24 by 36.
Yeah, the regular size for posters that you see, and it's printed wonderfully too. I was impressed. If you look at the Kickstarter video, you'll see the cover for Stellar Odyssey. That's the same size poster, same quality and everything.
Here's the poster we're giving away, all rolled up.
All rolled up, ready to go. And all you got to do is get your back the Kickstarter before Sunday evening, and we'll be drawing. How many? We've got 30 plus people who've backed the Kickstarter already.
About 31, 30.
Yeah. So anybody that has a reward tier that has a physical copy, there you go. Say something.
I was trying to think of one of his lines in the book, but yeah. So
Yeah, it's a cool poster. It's a cool. The book's even better, I
Yeah.
think. The great thing about that poster is the art is done by our colorist Avery Ferdinand, who
right.
I had no clue he was an artist in the way of pencils and ink, and he's going to do some more pinups for us too. He's coloring the entire book, which is exciting because he is out of control good.
Yeah, he's good,
So,
man. He's
yeah.
he's better than good, but he's
No, I mean we went through. So let's go ahead and get into the history.
all right.
And I want to talk about, if I could stop kicking my table. I want to talk about the how we landed on certain people that we wanted to bring along on the journey, like Avery, like Brian, Flavio, and Dino, and the crew basically.
Sure.
So should we go back even further and talk about how we ended up joining forces?
Yeah, let's start there. How
Okay.
we first met and started talking about making comics together.
Jay and I met on Tinder. No, I'm joking. Actually, I backed his Kickstarter for Transgenesis back in 2017, and I was actually like the third or fourth person to back it, I believe.
Yeah, you were up there.
Yeah, so I backed it, saw that he was from St. Louis, and creeped on his Facebook page, as I do. And we became friends, and MightyCon in St. Louis rolled around, and I said, "Yeah, we should meet up and have a dinner or something like that." I think I said a drink, but we don't really drink. Either one of us barely drink alcohol. And you agreed. I stopped by your table. I ended up getting sick that night, not being able to do it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but you, I, and a couple other people started another company.
Yep.
And while working with that company's focus is superheroes. They're kind of expanding now, but it's superheroes.
Yeah.
And we started talking about our love for Star Wars and our love for sci-fi in general. I mean, you've got influences from things like what?
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Firefly.
Yeah. I mean, Star Trek's another one. Star Trek is like very clean sci-fi. I'm more of a dirty sci-fi guy, like the worlds of Star Wars and Firefly. It's more, it's done hard to say, but grounded in reality in a way because everything's dingy and
Things
what I'm saying.
Well used, things that's lived in. That's I always use.
Lived in. That's what George Lucas used to say. It's the lived in galaxy. Where Star Trek, everything's clean.
Yeah, clean, brand new, just came off the assembly line.
Yeah, and there are other things, like Battlestar Galactica. I mean, we can name stuff that everybody's heard of all day, but you get the idea.
Yep.
Because it's all out there. It's nothing that's surprising. Everybody knows all this stuff. If you're into comics, odds are you're into this stuff too. So we talked about our love for the genre in general, and I think I mentioned to you that I wrote this whole thing for Dark Horse, a Star Wars comic.
Yeah.
It's called Lost Night. Submitted it, they liked it, but then they sent me the old, "We can't publish this though. You have to go through Lucasfilm." I'm like, ah. And then right when that was happening, Disney and Lucasfilm merged. So I was like, yeah, I kind of like threw in the towel. I said, screw it. But then a couple months later, my wife told me, she's actually, this is legit why. She said, "Why don't you just pull all the Star Wars stuff out of it and make it your own?" I'm like, that's a really good idea. And it was really hard because the Force is hard to replace,
Yeah.
How do you replace a lightsaber? I mean, renaming things is easy, but like some of the things about Star Wars that are unique to Star Wars are some of the things that were part of a driving force. But I was able to do it, and that's how Knights of Bellaterra came to be. It was a Star Wars story that me and a friend sent off to Dark Horse. It got denied because it has to go through Lucasfilm, and then I just took all the Star Wars out and kind of I don't did I pitch it to you or just kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what it was?
I gave me through the synopsis.
Yeah, which is 8 pages long, so it's pretty long. But and we said maybe one day we'll look at doing a book like this, and fortunately with the company we were with, we weren't able to do that. And eventually we left the company. Nothing bad. We just decided to try it on our own. We're St. Louis. They're more based in Texas. So um, Jay and I are not far away, and it was easy for us to go back and forth, and we got a good rapport. And then Jay started telling me and showing me art for his story, Vagabond Blues, and from there it started to snowball. So tell us about your origins in Vagabond Blues.
As far as how the story started out,
Yeah, I mean, mine was simple. I was just trying to make a Star Wars story.
well, I guess okay. So my characters have gone through changes and evolved and rewrites and over the years, and actually some of them, like most of my characters, started out as a different character, and I guess they were the first stuff that I started writing was kind of similar to X-Men. It was still kind of a little bit superhero genre, but uh, I didn't want to rely as much on like fantastical superpowers and get into that. It was more about the characters and the story. So um, a lot of my sci-fi and other influences start kind of creeping in and taking over, and I kind of start reworking it into a different direction, which X-Files and like Cowboy Bebop start heavily influencing it. So I got further and further away from having characters that were centered around having superpowers, and gravitating more towards space and space adventures. So as I got away from the superhero ideas, initially my idea was Earth Earth's resources have been ravaged. I mean, it was pretty cliche. It was full of cliches. There's still some cliches, but so Earth resources were ravaged. Human population was trying to start to seek out other planets that we could venture out and colonize. And so it was still Earth-based, and there was an orbiting space station that all the missions were put together and launched from there. But so yeah, from there I just got I started like, oh, this has already been done. This has already been done. This is too cliche. I gotta break away from the cliches. I gotta try to make it more original.
It's funny that you say that because that's something I worry about constantly is cliches, because like especially in editing I'm like, well, this is too much like this or I think that's something that we uh, both of us as a team, that's a strength of ours is paying attention to things like that. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to chime in.
That's fun, yeah, because especially reading other comics, you're like sometimes like, okay, the art and the concept seem really cool, and then you start reading, you're like, yeah, I've read this before.
Right.
I've heard this story before. So that's when I really start realizing, well, then it's got to be about the characters, because almost everything out there has been used. It's hard to come up with a completely original story. I mean, it has to be in your plot twist or, catching the reader off guard. Well, I wasn't expecting that to happen, but it also has to be focused around your characters and character development. So I started focusing more on that. And then, just the more over the years, the more comics I've read, the less interested I've become in superhero stories. Like same thing, I feel like I've read them all for the most part. 20 years of reading superhero comics, I've kind of gotten bored with it. So started getting more into small press, other genres, sci-fi, mysteries, crime noirs, just different various stories. And plus, again, Cowboy Bebop has really influenced me. So just cycling through that season of Cowboy Bebop, all 26 episodes, and seeing how each little episode has its own story arc, but there was like one overall story arc for the whole series. and seeing how they went about developing their characters and making their world seem lived in and realistic and all that stuff. Something you could relate to, while you're watching it, you find little things you can relate to. And so I start focusing more on that, and then more and more, just reworking the characters, and eventually they grew into what it is now. And eventually then I cut the whole being connected to Earth off. Just made it its own brand new. I think that's probably when me and you started talking.
Yeah.
And we started talking that, well, both of our stories could exist in the same universe.
Yeah, because mine was not Earthbound. I mean, when you mentioned yours, and I thought about doing that actually, but I don't know, with putting it in our own galaxy, our own universe, it leaves it open to more, less rules, I guess.
Yeah, and less don't have to worry about historical facts lining up with your plots and stories and stuff as much.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, it gives you more creative control and creative power.
Yeah,
which I am all about. It's power, unlimited power. But yeah, you talk about small press, and you're still discovering it. You and I both are still discovering things with Image and Valiant, and even smaller than that, the indie world.
Yeah, Bolt Comics is a company I to.
And then even the one with Mad Cave.
Mad Cave Studios, starting.
They bought basically a starter set from them recently.
Yeah, actually, I just got I checked my tracking number. My package for Mad Cave Studios is supposed to be arriving today.
There you go. That's fast shipping, man.
Yep.
But yeah, so one night, Jay and I, sometime last summer, I would say, we went to a steakhouse and had some steak and enjoyed. Well, I did, and I think I had chicken fried steak, but we hung out, and then we came back to my house and just started drawing maps. I had certain planets already kind of aligned because there is planetary travel in the stories, and PJ had some too, and we sat down like little kids and drew out like maps on pieces of paper. And what was it, like 9 galaxies?
Yeah, we came out with 9 galaxies. This with me, so we
and make so we different sizes too.
Yeah, make the sun, and then this solar system has this many planets, and we came up with 9 different solar systems
with what 5 to 7 planets, maybe even more.
Yep. I think one of them may have only had 3 planets, and one of them, I think maybe the largest one had 9 planets. But we try to change it up and make them all different, so it wasn't just like a cookie cutter thing.
Yeah, and one of the systems was dead because the sun was dead.
Yeah, that's right. The white.
Yeah, so we've got this whole thing laid out, and we have it in a square, and there's 3 up here, 3 in the middle, like whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we're like getting excited. I think I'm laying on my stomach drawing. I'm like, we're 12 or 13 years old, and my daughter was using that thing too at the time. It was fun.
Yeah.
And then we started putting things together, and at some point after the new year, we decided here's the thing. Jay and I have so much content, and it's not just all science fiction. We have carried over content like the Transgenesis universe, which we'd like to finish.
Yep.
I've got a Dropbox full of stuff that I'd like to get going. And then the Dragonfly and other things like that we want to get to work on. So we've had like the last year or so trying to figure out what we wanted to do, because we knew we wanted to go to Kickstarter to start things out. And we've been back and forth, and finally we talk about doing a 6-page sci-fi, Stellar Odyssey thing and we didn't have a title for it at that point, for Free Comic Book Day, I believe is what we were going to do.
Yep.
And as the artwork was coming in, and I made a suggestion for the cover art, basically what Jay did. I'm a big fan of Drew Struzan, and you think of the movies from Star Wars to Back to the Future, and just all those different movies from the 80s. Indiana Jones, they're all Drew Struzan, most of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Something about those movie covers, even if they didn't have anything to do with the movie itself, because a lot of horror movie covers are like that. It
Yeah.
made you want to watch the movie, and that's the comic book cover should make you want to read the book, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So,
The compositional, just the composition on his posters alone.
he's a genius. There's a great documentary I suggest watching. I think it's on Amazon Prime, about Drew Struzan. Shows a lot of his work. But anyway, so we got into that, and then Free Comic Book Day was rolling around. I was like, we talked about doing this as the Kickstarter in July, because we had the date set in July, and it was between this and Transgenesis, and he was further along with this, and we brought Brock into the fold and decided to make it a 4-story, 6-page, and each one would have their own cover art, which is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wrote 2 of them. I wrote the first one and the third.
First 2 actually.
The first 2?
Yeah. Because
no, Tilla Banks is gonna be the third one, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Is it? I thought I mean,
It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters, honestly.
Right now, I got it labeled as yours. Your Knights of Bellaterra is number 2. Just
Okay.
that was the order that they were written in too, as well.
Yeah, it was, because I wrote that right after I wrote the entry. And the first story, like I said, the first 3 pages are up on the Kickstarter. But the first story is Mason Delic, my character, that is like the lead in Knights of Bellaterra, and then JC are together. They know each other, and they're both getting ready to depart on their journeys. So this is the perfect place to enter, because this is why it was gonna be a Free Comic Book Day, because this will spawn into the 2 books, you know, Knights of Bellaterra and Vagabond Blues, and yeah, we just decided to add more because maybe it's because I'm selfish, maybe because I'm greedy. No, but like there's so much to tell.
Yeah, and I think the creative juices at one point, they just started overflowing. We're like, man, we started off this little 6-page story plus, our separate universes that we already had, but now all of a sudden, just so much material and ideas were just coming into play. We're like, man, we gotta go bigger. 6 pages for Free Comic Book Day is not enough. We got.
No. And I mean, it would have been enough, and maybe we'll do one of these for Free Comic Book Day, but
the bonus.
Yeah, maybe Marcus. Anyway, yeah, I don't remember how we decided to come up with 4. We talked about using Brock at some point for something else, I think. And Brock Nicholson he's the writer creator of Thorn, which that is for sure the final story. We decided to end on that, and I don't want to speak too much on Thorn because it's Brock's character, but he described her as a female Conan in space, basically.
Yeah, and I think when he said female Conan, so initially when he said that, I was thinking kind of like Red Sonja or something like that, but I think he probably meant more in her demeanor or attitude.
Yeah,
because she's in a spacesuit, she's out in space. And she's a deadly assassin, most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy or whatever. She'd do anything necessary to get her target. So she's pretty ruthless, pretty cunning. It's a very interesting character from the 6-page script that I've gone through, and I'm doing the thumbnails and stuff for now. I like her. I like the character.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun and very different. Yeah, especially if she ever gets to meet up with everybody else.
Right.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the last story should end pretty much one. I think every one of them is going to leave you wanting more. But yeah, I'm really excited to see Thorn come to life. Sorry, I got a message. So, sorry, that totally distracted me. Anyway, but I got to be honest. Other than my own personal stories, the one I'm really excited about, and it probably has to do with the team behind it. It's first story, your characters, Tillabet, Brian Hawkins and Flavio Rodriguez. First of all, let's talk about Brian Hawkins for a moment. He really impressed me when I read America's Kingdoms, or America's Kingdom, and then Angelica Reigns.
Did you read Angelica Reigns first though, and then go back and get America's Kingdom? Or?
I don't remember, but that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I think. Well, there was a time you and I talked to him about doing Dragonfly, which eventually that'll see the light of day. But yeah. I can't. It doesn't matter the order that I read them, but I've read them both, and then Cornrows, of course. He's a really good writer, and having conversations with him, he's just somebody you want to work with. You know, not just because of his skills as a writer, but his just personality and the way he goes about his business. He's just somebody you want to work with. And like when we thought of adding the third story, this was before Thorn. We thought of Hawkins immediately.
Yeah.
And why not? We've worked with him before, and he has never let us down as far as storytelling goes.
Nah, he's good.
Yeah.
You can give him a few writing prompts or a basic direction, and he'll just
go right for it.
He's like, wow, man. I'm finding it hard.
And he thought into it, you know.
You're breaking up there a little.
And then, like, huh?
Oh, your feed was breaking.
Did I break up?
Yeah, on my end it was. It's all right now.
Okay. Well, hopefully it doesn't break up. They're watching YouTube out there or something. But anyway, the next part was finding the artist to go along with it. I really like when Avery presented us with that drawing. I was like, man, maybe Avery's the guy for it. But Avery's not comfortable with doing interiors yet, right. So we had to keep searching, and you found the perfect person.
Yeah, well, I had talked to Brian Andon, or Andon, however you pronounce his name. But he was super busy. He's booked, man. That's another talented artist, but yeah, he had too much going on. He didn't have room to do it, so kept looking. And I had Flavio in mind the whole time, but
yeah, he was on our initial list of potential people to work with anyway, wasn't he?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, we had a list of artists that we reached out to and talked to, brief chats with a bunch of different artists, and based off of the work that we saw them posting. And so we had that list. We were going down, and contacted Flavio, and he was available to do it and was interested. So got him on board, and
he's killing it. And he's, what I'm surprised about more than anything is his speed.
Yeah, he's turning stuff in quick.
Yeah, that's something that we need.
Yeah.
And as far as the story that I'm writing for Knights of Bellaterra, we turned to an old friend. His name's Dino. He's worked with Jay before on a couple of projects. He did the art in one of the comics I did for the other company, Apogee, Phantom Hawk. And Dino and I have a good rapport, and he likes drawing my work. That's what he says. I'm not just saying that. I could lie all day long. But no, Dino, he messaged me. He's like, "You got any more work for me? I like doing your writing." I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, eventually." And when Dino turns in a page, I mean, the art is very crisp.
Yeah.
When he turns it in, and it's very, very pretty. And then the first page, the first couple panels are up on the Kickstarter for that as well. You can go to our Facebook page and see all of this stuff also. Is it just facebook.com/Unparalleled Comics?
I believe that's it. Yeah.
Or just search Unparalleled Comics, or you know what? Better still, in the description of this video are all the links. So you could do that. You could just do the easy route. Right. But I like Dino's work, and he's worked with Avery quite a bit on Harlan Buck. Scott Weldon's book. So we kind of know what kind of look this is going to present. Although Dino's work sometimes looks different on each comic because I don't know. I think this looks a little bit different versus Harlan Buck, but maybe that's just me.
Probably different genre, but probably different moods, different feel for the overall story. I know Scott likes to go for the old school pulp fiction.
That's true. That's a pretty cool book to check out, by the way. That's one thing that you'll see both of us talk quite a bit about on our personal Facebooks is independent comics, and we like backing Kickstarters. Jay's backed over 100 some odd Kickstarters, and I've backed like 80 something, which seems too many for my blood. My goodness. I got a stack like this big of indie comics just sitting there waiting to read. I haven't been able to read them all. I'm so behind on everything.
Yep. I was thinking that last night, looking at my rack of comics. I'm like, man.
Well, we're busy. We've got a lot of other stuff going on with running Kickstarters. You're running the Kickstarter. I'm not doing it. I'm just sitting here looking pretty. But
they still sit there and call my name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. I actually put mine in a box. I've got a box from Big Bag Toy Store just sitting there full of comics that need to be read. And it's not just independent. It's my pool also.
Yeah.
I bought a new comic the other day called Reaver. And I started. Did you read that? Image's new book.
What is it?
Justin Jordan, Reaver.
No, I don't know if I've noticed that one.
It was sold out.
Oh, maybe that's why I didn't see it.
Yeah, they held me back a copy. My shop's great. Shout out to Fantasy Books and Games.
I picked up a new Image title this past week from Cullen Bunn.
I saw that one. I thought about getting it. Yeah.
I flipped through the art and just the story. Judging the story from the artwork seemed pretty different from what I've seen Cullen Bunn do so far. So the artwork was good. Story seemed interesting, and from what I gathered where it's going, really interested me. So I was like,
somebody just commented and asked if we can do a flip trick. If you can, I'll subscribe. I don't know what unless you're talking about a kicks or skateboarding. Jay can.
I can do kick flips.
It says flip trick. I don't know what that means. Here, I can flip my Pop-Tart. What's left of it. Anyway, just subscribe. What harm is it? But that threw me off.
Yeah. So
we were talking about indie comics and
new Image titles.
Yeah, new Image titles. That's another thing we talked about when creating our stuff is there are books out there currently that I'm inspired by, like Seven to Eternity, and the Realm is wonderful, and those are Missouri-based guys too, doing their thing. You need to check out Reaver though if you can. It's a pretty cool book.
Okay.
Written by Justin Jordan, who's a super talented writer. He wrote Shadow Man for Valiant, the first 5 or 6 trades worth, and he wrote something called Spread, which is
I come real close. My local library's got the first couple of volumes of Spread. I'm like,
there's only 2 of them, I think. So read Spread because it's interesting. I really like it. But yeah, Reaver's probably one to get on board with. I need some, like, now that The Walking Dead's over, I need something new, image-wise. I've been reading Birthright. I've been reading little Black Science.
Black Science, fabulous.
Nailbiter's one I've been looking into.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff. Jay has really opened my eyes towards them. I've always been a DC guy. We talked about superhero comics and kind of straying away from there. Nothing against superhero comics. And most people think of comics if that's what they think of, but there is so much out there that's not superhero based in comics.
Yep.
So much. Just like some of the titles I just mentioned. East of West is really cool.
The West, love East of West.
Yeah. There's a kind of a horror comic called Outcast that I read that's Image. Valiant they kind of straddle the superhero line for the most part. I read Shadow Man. I read a little bit of Harbinger back when it started. What's that one with the magician that you read that you liked?
The Magician.
Yeah, what was that called? That wasn't the Magician, was it?
You mean Dr. Mirage?
Dr. Mirage, yeah, that's the one. I still haven't read that yet, but that's one I can't wait to look into. There's
She's more of like a medium, like she see and talk to the dead, and she can actually, I guess, travel into the other world, the other side, where the dead and other spirits.
Is it the astral plane? No, that's not the astral plane. That's the legit other side.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. Actually, it might be based off the astral plane. It's been a while since I read those trades, but and then Valiant's sci-fi side, Rye, is excellent, man. The first I read the first 4 trades like in the matter of a week because I couldn't put it down. The more I read, the more I wanted to read, and then that kind of bleeds into Divinity. That's another nice sci-fi side of Valiant. The Divinity books are really good.
Yeah, I'm behind on so much, and I wanna get in on some of the stuff you've been talking about. Jay, if you follow him on Facebook, he posts his most recent polls usually on his Facebook page, and every now and again we'll do something like that on the Nightfall Unlimited page, which we have been neglecting. But another title that's not science fiction that I would suggest, there's 2 trades out from Dark Horse, is Lady Killer. About a female assassin who sells Avon or whatever, something like that. If you guys remember Avon back in the 80s. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff that's not superhero. Again, I have nothing against. I still read Batman and Superman. And I've written 2 superhero comics. The Crimson Guardians and Phantom Hawk. So I have nothing. And Jay and I both have titles that we plan to unleash on Unparalleled eventually, that are superhero kind of based.
Yeah.
So I mean, shit. Sorry. The Transgenesis delves into that as well, and it's spawned into a whole new story, a group of characters. So
it's like superheroes investigating paranormal and supernatural activities.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool stuff. I mean, there is a lot of cool stuff, but right now, I mean, sci-fi is something that has always been, I almost want to say it's always been in my blood, and that's probably how Jay and I really hit it off as friends. Firstly, is our love for the sci-fi genre in comics, of course.
Yep. Sorry. No questions yet?
No, from Josh. I'm not sure who Josh is, but I did the Pop-Tart flip. I can do the bottle flip. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what he means. I'll Google it. Flip trick. Jay can take a video of himself. Do you still have a skateboard?
Yeah, it's out in my garage, but I do have a skateboard still.
Yeah, on if you Google it, it's the skateboard trick that we were just talking about. Unless he's talking about a subscribe for a subscribe, I don't think that's a flip trick, but we can do that too. No big deal. But anyway, anything else we want to go over? We're about close to that hour mark.
Well, is there anything Kickstarter related we haven't covered?
We didn't go over the rewards, but if you click on the link, the rewards are there. There are some cool rewards that we can highlight. Like Jay has the first 3 pages up, the inked pages up there for what is it, 150?
Yeah, 150.
Yeah, and you can get an actual hand-drawn page and inked page from Jay for 150 along with the comic, and I think you get everything: the comic, the poster.
2 print, yeah, you get 2 of the prints.
The only thing you don't get is commissions.
Right.
Yeah, that's another thing. Jay's got a couple different commissions that he's up for doing, which it's not just from our comic. If you have a character, you can do what would you say, chest up or something like that?
Yeah, like a bust. I mean, the sketch cards are usually more the bust because they're smaller. If you draw the whole character on, it's only 2.5 by 3.5 inch cards, so they'll be real small and not very much detail. So I usually do bust on those or faces, but whatever they request. The 7 by 10.5s. I could do full bodies on those. Those are one character with a minimal background. So a lot of them would be like if you look on the page, like the Ghost Rider or the Magneto piece that I did, stuff like that. And now if they get the 11 by 17s, they can have 1 or 2 characters, and I'll do a full background on those. And that's the $100 level.
Yeah, so we've got all kinds of rewards, and all of them except for one, and it's the $1 thing. You get some kind of copy of the comic. There's a $3 pledge for a digital comic. $10 gets you the full 30-page book. Is it 30 pages?
Yeah, it's technically it's a 32-page book, but there'll be 30 pages plus two bonus pages of whatever we put in there. But yeah, 24 pages of art, 4 different covers. There's cover art for each story, and then there's like a credits page for story title, story credits, stuff like that, art credits.
Yeah, so it's worth it. It's more than your average 22-page comic.
Yeah, and then so for the pinups, the small pinups, there's 7 by 10.5, and there will be 4 of them total. 2 of them are done.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2, getting the rest for Thorn, so Cameron Johnson can draw the cover for Thorn, and then that'll be one of the prints.
And the other one is all me. I have to find somebody that I would like to do the art.
You're not gonna have Dino do the cover art for that story?
I want to, but I'm thinking about going outside with it and hiring somebody else. Mostly because Dino's workload is huge right now, and
True.
Adding more to what I've already got him commissioned for, and what he's doing for Harlan Buck and other comics. I don't want to give him too much, and he's on vacation. So again, that dude is always on vacation. It seems like.
Must be nice.
But he turns in a hell of a good art page, though.
Yep, and the pics of the places he goes is like, damn.
Yeah,
that's nice. I wish I was there.
Not just the places he goes, the food he eats.
Yeah, always post pictures.
Man, Dino, why can't you invite some friends?
Living the life.
Yeah, so he's a good guy. He's a great artist. Very nice. That's one of the things I like about the guys we're working with. Also, all of them are kind people.
Yep. They're all professional, easy to work with, and just generally seem like good people.
Which is weird because I'm not any of those things. But I guess we'll close it up here just under an hour. Check out the Kickstarter. The link is in the description. Check us out on Facebook. Subscribe here if you'd like more content from Stellar Odyssey. We will do shorter videos and post stuff up. I do a live video. I'll be doing live videos as the Kickstarter goes. I believe we're going to do more giveaways for different things as the Kickstarter goes.
I think the next one will be a piece of original art.
Uh-oh.
It's nothing huge, not very, but the original character concept drawing for Tasia Katu, for example, or something along those lines.
And she is a... Should we tell him?
Yeah, why not?
She is a fallen military knight.
Yep.
She is a character that I would like to play with because of her look is hold on, Jay, one sec. Her look is so cool. Do you have the original concept handy?
The original concept of her?
Yeah.
Like, you mean what she originally started out looking like?
Yeah, the one with her holding the swords like overhead and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you see the first of all the difference in Jay's work, how far he's come along, and the character herself? It's the same idea, but she looks so much cooler now, and I like the effect he did on her or swords.
Swords.
Swords. Or S words. How about that?
Oh, let's see. I know I got that stuff here somewhere.
That original art idea is really cool. I wish I didn't write for this company sometime. No.
Okay. Oh,
Did you find it?
I think so. I got a couple folders here with. Forgot about this guy here.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait to get to Vagabond Blues. Start meeting some other alien characters. There's a kind of gave them a Aztec kind of culture. There's the first drawing of Tilla Banks, shirtless.
Shirtless.
Oh, here she is. That's where she
There
started.
she is, yeah. So hold up the other one, too.
So this was before we had the idea of her being a fallen Bellaterra knight, but she still had the. I had the idea for the electric swords. And then
Yeah, back it up a little bit. Yeah, look at the difference. Jay's art has come a long way, and she looks way cool now. I like the added cloak.
yeah, that adds a
It adds a lot to it.
It's another character I can't wait to get into. She'll be in Vagabond Blues at some point. She's an artifact hunter.
Yeah, which it could spawn another book.
Yep.
But we that's why we need the Kickstarter to be funded, because we want to do a lot of stuff, and the more money we get, the more we can do.
I was trying to find this. I couldn't find the scan on my computer, but you know my character Link is a
Link, yeah.
shifter. This was like one of the concepts I had of what he could different things he could
Disregard that.
get into.
Yeah, don't disregard that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's in there. Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff in here.
So yeah, back to Kickstarter. There's a lot. I mean, Jay's got pulling all kinds of stuff out that's gonna could show up in the world in general, not just Vagabond Blues,
Right.
because all these characters they come from different races, and they could be all over the galaxy. Show up in Knights of Bellaterra or Thorn, or other books that we could eventually create. And that's why this Kickstarter is so important. We get this funded, it shows that people are interested.
Yeah.
And anything further we could put towards more comics, which I'd like to have maybe next fall or next spring, maybe Knights of Bellaterra and Vagabond Blues number 1 out and ready to go for a Kickstarter, because those 22 pages of Knights of Bellaterra, I got this whole issue 1 planned of a prison breakout. Yeah. So, and the prison is on this giant plateau, and there's only one way in, and it's a landing dock on the side of the prison at the very top. So there's no way in through the bottom, which is a very vast forest. So I want to do that, and Jay's got some ideas for the issue 1 of a Vagabond Blues. And remember, to get in on the universe, that very first story is the entry point to that. So after that first 6-page story, Mason goes off to fight these creepy, gross aquatic things that Jay created. And then JC is going to go off into issue 1 of Vagabond Blues. So,
and I guess technically the first 2 stories in Stellar Odyssey are kind of connected, aren't they? Because isn't that where he tells JC he's going to when they're talking?
Yep. Yep. So it's continuity, correct? You know, the continuity's there, which you know I'm a stickler for.
Yep.
So yeah, and after this little 6-page story, they go the whole prison thing happens.
Right.
So yeah. So yeah, we really have been planning this out. So Kickstarter's up for fun, because believe it or not, Kickstarters are not fun to run.
They're a lot of hard work.
Yeah. So
time consuming. Maybe the work is not maybe hard work, but it's time consuming for sure.
It's time consuming for sure. And it's not just time consuming. There's a period of time before you're funded that you have to well, keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and hope, probably upset all the people on your Facebook friends, timeline or whatever.
Yeah, I'm
So
thinking about your Kickstarter.
just back it then.
It's constantly in my
I'll
feed.
do a quick trick for you. Anyway, yeah, if you like comics, you like independent comics, you like seeing time-lapse videos or videos about writing process, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube page. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Unparalleled Comics. Unparalleled now on Twitter. And you can follow me at Rage of Razor or Razor33 on Instagram. You wanna plug yourself, Jay?
I'm pretty much at J Sloan Art on all the social medias.
Yeah, so check us out. Follow Jay because he's got more interesting content than me. And the Kickstarter, especially this weekend with the poster giveaway, we plan on doing a couple more while the Kickstarter is running.
Yeah, well, and we'll be doing
more fun videos. There's a video.
we'll be doing the live stream Sunday night to pick the winner for the poster as well. So
yeah, from here, shared on our socials. So anyway, have a great Saturday. I know I will. I'm sure Jay will too.
Yep.